Hello everyone, what's up? I hope you all are doing great. And yes, I would like to welcome you all to the fifth video on Node.js. And yes, today we are going to do a very important thing. We will install a few things which are required, and also we will learn about some important topics before we do actual database configuration. All right. So if you remember, then in the past video, in video 4, we actually said that we did all that UI part, right? We completed that designing of UI section, right? How our application should look like. So we completed this part in our video 4, and I also mentioned that from video 5 we would be seeing only the backend, right? So we would be seeing database configuration, all that CRUD operation and all. So yes, from video 5 we will be seeing the backend part only, but let me tell you that today we will install few important things, and we will learn some important concept before implementing them in real. Okay, so basically this video is more focused on the conceptual part. Okay, means today we will understand the concept. We will understand the concept of important topics which we are going to implement in the following videos. Okay, so this video is a little bit of more theory, of more concept, but these concepts are very important before we implement them in real. All right, and also we will install few important things like Nodemon and Xampp. All right, and after you have watched this video, you will know what is Xampp, you will know about MySQL, and also you will know about what is ORM and what is Sequelize. All right, so yes, so first thing first, let's install the Nodemon. Okay, so what Nodemon is, let's know that, and why we are going to install this, let's understand that at first. All right, and if you have not watched previous videos, then the link to the playlist is in the description box below. Follow the link and watch the previous videos as well. And okay, and also if you want to access the source code of our project which we are doing, then the Github link is also in the description box below. All right, so okay, so let's install Nodemon at first. Okay, so let's go to our project. Okay, so this is our project. All right, okay, all right, so this is our project, and okay, so firstly let's install Nodemon. Okay, but before installing Nodemon, let's know what Nodemon is. All right, so Nodemon is basically a package which is required to automatically restart our application whenever we make any changes to it. Okay, so let's understand it from our project itself. All right, so if you see, then in our project, let's say, okay, so in app.js file, okay, we have app.js file, and if we make any changes to this app.js file while our application is running, okay, then such kind of changes are not directly reflected on our application which is currently running. All right, so in order to see the changes on our application, we need to again restart our application. Okay, so it's a kind of tiresome task. Okay, so whatsoever the changes that we make here in the app.js file, right? So to see the actual changes, we again need to shut down our application and again restart it. Okay, so to avoid this tiresome task, we have a Nodemon application. Okay, so we have Nodemon package, so let's install that. All right, okay, but I have already installed Nodemon. Let me firstly uninstall, let's uninstall the Nodemon. Okay, so since I have Nodemon already, so I would like to uninstall this. npm uninstall Nodemon. All right, so I have successfully uninstalled Nodemon, right? So now okay, so I will show you that what is the scenario is that let me firstly run my application, and I will make you understand the scenario. All right, so let's run our application. All right, npm node app.js. Okay, so our server is running, so let's see our application in the browser. All right, all right, so this is our application, right? And we have home page, we have create page, all right, and also we have like show page, right? So these all are the things that we did in the past two videos, right? Video 3 and video 4. All right, okay, so let's see. uh, right now our application is also running in the browser, okay? And what I want to do is that I want to make some changes to this application, okay, while my application is running here in the browser. So let me make certain changes in the app.js file, okay? So what kind of change? Okay, so I would like to add a new path, okay? So let's say app.get, all right, my new path. So I'm adding a new path, okay? So all right, okay, so response.render home.ejs. all right, so what I have done here is that I have added a new path, okay? So I have specified that when somebody okay, I have specified that if we search for like slash my new path here, okay, so if we like search something like slash my new path, okay, if we search or if we give something like this in URL, then it should render home page, okay? So if we search for something like this path, like my new path, then we should be render home page, okay? So let's write all this in small letter, path, okay? So this is the small change that I have made to my application, okay? So when I search for slash my new path, then I should be rendered which page? Home page. So I should be given home page, all right? So I have made a small change in my app.js file, and my application is also running here in the browser. And while my application is running, okay, so while the server is running, while my application is running, I have made this small change in my I have made a small change in app.js file, okay? So now I have also saved this change, okay? So now I want to search for this path on my application which is currently running, okay? So let's search for this path, 3000 my new path. All right, so if you see, then you cannot see here any home page being rendered, right? So but if you see in the code that I have already specified that if I search for slash my new path, then I should be given which page? Home.ejs page, right? But this is not simply working, right? So it is not working here. When I search for my new path, then it displays a small message like cannot get my new path. So why is this error coming? Okay, so this is actually not an error, but it says that it cannot find my new path. But if I see in the code, then my new path is already specified here. So it is because that whenever we make any changes to the app.js file or any JavaScript file in our application, then we need to again restart our application, okay? So let me shut down my application, Control C, and again to see this new change on our application, okay, to see this new path on our application, I need to again restart my application, right? So again let's restart it, node app.js. all right, so now I should be able to find this new path, okay? So let's again search for this all right, So now when I search for like localhost 3000 slash my new path, I'm given which page? I'm given this home page. Home page is being rendered. Okay, so if you see, then the problem here is that whatsoever the changes that I make in the app.js file while my application is running, okay, so while my application is running, whatsoever the changes that I make in app.js file, that changes will not be reflected on my application, okay, until and unless I restart my application. So whatever the changes that I make to app.js file, whether it is a small change or bigger change, I always have to restart my application. So it's a tiresome task, right? So if I make here is any small change, again I have to restart the application. Okay, so every now and then I have to restart the application whenever I make any changes. Okay, so this is a problem, right? So because every time we have to restart the application, right? So for that we have a solution, which is Nodemon package. Okay, so for a solution we have Nodemon package. Okay, so all right, so as a solution we have got Nodemon. So if we install Nodemon, then after that whatsoever the changes that we make, automatically those changes will be reflected on our application. Okay, so let's install Nodemon at first. So we have a simple command, npm install Nodemon. All right, so this must install Nodemon package. Okay. All right, so now our Nodemon package has been added. Okay, so now so after installing Nodemon, in order to run your application, you can use this command, right? Nodemon space app.js. But if you see, then before we used to use command like node app.js, right? But now, from now onwards, we are using Nodemon. Instead of node only, we will use Nodemon. All right, so Nodemon app.js, hit enter. Now our application is running. All right, so now let's again refresh our page. So yes, our application is running, but now the difference here is that now with the help of Nodemon we have run our application. Okay, so before we were using node only, but now we are using Nodemon. And the main benefit of using Nodemon is that it will automatically save the changes, and it will automatically reflect the changes on our application whenever we make any changes to the app.js file or any JavaScript file. All right, so we don't have to worry about continuously restarting our application. Okay, so this is it about Nodemon. Okay, so now let's check. Okay, so let's add another path also. Okay, so while my application is running, let's add another path and save it. Okay, and to see whether Nodemon is working correctly or not. So let's say my new path, another new path. Okay, this is going to be a really long name, right? But it's okay. Comma request comma response. All right. Okay. And now response dot render home.ejs. all right, so now I have, if you see, then I have made here a certain change. Okay, I have added another path which is known as my another new path. Okay, and this is the small change that I have made. Okay, so I have added here another path, my another new path. Okay, so let's save it. So but the thing is that since I have installed Nodemon here now, so and also I'm running my application with Nodemon, right? So if I make certain changes then and save it, then it should automatically restart my application. Okay, so you also see this terminal. Okay, so if I do Control S or save, right, my Nodemon is my application is automatically restarted now. So without so I don't have to manually give command and restart my application. Okay, so my application will be automatically started whenever I make any changes. So now if I search for my path, new path, that is my another path, and hit enter, I think it is my another new path, and okay, hit enter, then I am given this home page. Okay, so my home page is appearing when I search for my another new path. So if you see here, then before without Nodemon, I had to manually restart my application to see this new page, right, or to see this new path, right? But with Nodemon now, I have not manually uh, restarted my application, right? My Nodemon is doing everything. So whenever I make any changes, or whenever I add any path, or whenever I make any small or bigger change in app.js file, Nodemon will automatically restart my application, all right? And that will make all the changes to be reflected on the application, all right? So this is about Nodemon. So this is it about the Nodemon. So yes, you need Nodemon in order to automatically restart your application whenever you make any changes to the application or to the JavaScript files, all right? So yes, so now we will see about Xampp. Okay, so if you guys don't know about Xampp, then I will make you clear about that, don't worry. So let's go to the another slide. All right, so Xampp is like a box or a container having items, MySQL database, Apache server, interpreters for Perl and PHP. All right, so okay, so for database we are using Xampp, okay, in our application. So that's why you also have to install a Xampp application. Okay, so go to the browser and search for Xampp, okay, and install it. So search for Xampp download, and you download it. Okay, so if you are Mac users, then download specific Xampp, okay, which is for your Mac OS. Okay, so if you go inside the Xampp download website, then you will be given Xampp for Windows, Linux and OS, okay, Mac OS. All right, so yes, so Xampp, you can download the Xampp because we are using Xampp for the database in our application. Okay, okay, so if you don't know about Xampp, then take Xampp as a box, okay, as a container. Take it as a box or a container which has all these 4 items in it. Okay, MySQL database, Apache server and interpreters for Perl and PHP. Okay, so Xampp is nothing but a container, okay, containing all these items, and we are using MySQL database in our application. Okay, so MySQL database means a relational database. Okay, relational database means database which stores data in the form of rows and columns, right? So it will store the data in tables, all right? So okay, so if you also don't know about what is MySQL, then or MySQL, then MySQL or MySQL is a RDBMS, relational database management system. Okay, so I think here it should be RDBMS, okay, not RDMS. It should be RDBMS. I missed B here. Okay, so MySQL is a relational database management system. Okay, so it lets us add, access, and process stored it lets us add, access, and process data stored in relational database. Okay, I missed here a few things. Let me just edit this. All right. Process the data stored RDB. All right. Okay, so see, MySQL is nothing but a relational database management system. Okay, and it lets us to add, access, and process the data stored in the relational database. Okay, so relational database means you know what database is. Database is also a container which contains the data, right? So database is the place where we store all the data. All right, and relational database means database that stores data in the form of rows and columns. Okay, so the database that stores data in tables is known as relational database. All right, and what do you mean by RDBMS then? Okay, or what do you mean by database management system? All right, so don't think too much and don't worry, okay, by saying all these terms. Just you try to understand the concept. Okay, so database management system is nothing but a software that allows us to, or that lets us to interact with the database, or that lets us to interact with the data in the database. All right, so okay, so take it in this way. So you have a place where you keep all the data, and in order to access that data, in order to manipulate that data, okay, in order to you add your new data, or in order to get data from that place, okay, you need you need something, okay, in order to interact with the data, or in order to access the data. And that is database management system. Okay, so you need database management system in order to access the data, in order to manipulate it, in order to create your own data and store it in the database. Okay, so you need something in the middle, so that is database management system. All right, so database management system is nothing but a software that lets you to connect to the database, and after being connected to the database, you can access the data, you can read the data, you can put your data, right? So all these operations you can do. All right, so okay, so I think you are now clear about database management system. I think you are also clear about relational database. All right, so MySQL is nothing but a RDBMS, relational database management system. Okay, so MySQL is a database management system uh, for a relational database. Okay, so relational database means nothing but a database which stores data in tables. All right, okay, so now I think you are clear about Xampp and MySQL. Okay, and also you download the Xampp, okay, by searching for Xampp download in the browser. Okay, so let's see now our another topic. Now our another two topics are ORM and Sequelize. All right, so let's see what ORM and Sequelize are. Okay, I'm explaining all these concepts, okay, because these concepts are the one that we are going to implement in the following video. Okay, so without understanding the concept, without understanding them, how can we implement? So that's why it is very important to understand them. All right, so now let's see ORM and Sequelize. All right, okay, so what is ORM? Okay, so ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. Okay, an ORM is a technique that connects the application to the database and provides us with methods and APIs to interact with the database. Okay, so ORM. So ORM is nothing but it is a technique, okay, that connects an application to the database. Okay, that's it, simple. So you take ORM as a layer, okay, ORM as a layer or a middleman between the database and the application. Okay, so if you want to communicate with the database, okay, so let's say you are the application, okay, and now you need data from the database. Okay, then how will you get the data? So you will get the data with the help of ORM. Okay, so you will use this ORM to get the data or to access the database, to manipulate the data in the database. Okay, so ORM will always stay in between the application and the database. All right, so ORM is so ORM is something that stays between the database and the application. Okay, and ORM provides us with methods and APIs to interact with the database. Okay, so now you may be thinking that okay, so if we use ORM to interact with the database, then what about SQL queries? Okay, SQL queries are also the queries in order to which are required to communicate with the database, to get the data from the database, right, to store new data to the database. All right, so SQL queries, we use SQL queries to interact with database. Then why to use ORM? You may be thinking this way. You are completely correct in that case also. Okay, so since we already have SQL queries, then why do we need ORM? Okay, it's a very good question. All right, so see, ORM is something that also gives abstraction. Okay, abstraction means ORM gives us some methods, okay, some functions or some certain APIs, okay, with the help of which we interact with the database. And when we are given these methods, then we don't have to understand, and we don't have to memorize all these SQL queries, or we don't have to have that knowledge of all these difficult SQL queries. Okay, so that is why we use ORM. Okay, so ORM is something that also provides abstraction. Okay, abstraction means it just gives you the methods, okay, to interact with the database, but it does not require you to manually write the raw SQL queries to interact with the database. So it kind of like, provides a layer of abstraction, okay, layer of abstraction between the application and the database, okay. So you are not using direct raw SQL queries to interact with the database. You will just simply use the ORM methods, okay. So so don't get confused, all right. So if you okay so firstly, let's see the benefits of ORM, okay. What happens if we use ORM, okay. So first thing first, when you use ORM, then things become very clear. Just you will use certain methods given by ORM to interact with the database, and you don't have to write raw SQL queries, okay. Long SQL queries you don't have to write, you don't have to understand it, okay. So even if you don't have the knowledge of SQL, you can still interact with the database. So that is the foremost and the most important benefit of ORM, okay. So if you write raw SQL queries also, then also it's okay, okay. But you will directly interact with the database, so there will be nothing in the between, like between application and database there will be nothing like ORM. So if you use raw SQL queries, okay, so for that you must have knowledge of SQL queries, but all developers or almost all of us may not have knowledge of SQL queries, okay. So in that case ORM becomes very helpful, all right. Okay, so that is ORM, okay. So don't get confused about ORM. From today onwards, okay, if somebody asks you about what is ORM, tell them that ORM is a layer that stays between database and the application, okay. And this is the layer that allows our application to interact with the database, okay. And how to interact with the database? ORM gives us all the methods that we can use to interact with the database. So for example, let's say if we want to create new data for our database, okay, then ORM has a method for that, okay. Let's say ORM may have a method like create method. Like if we can, with the help of create method, we can create new data. With the help of delete method, we can delete the data from the database, okay. So like this, ORM gives us methods to interact with the database. All right, so that is the benefit of ORM, okay. So from today onwards, don't get confused about ORM concept, okay. So it is nothing but a technique that stays between application and the database, okay. So it allows application to interact with the database, okay, without the use of raw SQL queries, all right. So that is ORM. Okay, so now let's see our another topic, okay. Our another topic is Sequelize, okay. So yes, we are going to use ORM in our application, okay. That's why I'm explaining this concept. So before implementing any concept, we need to understand it first, right? So then only we can master that particular concept, right? So our another topic is Sequelize. Okay, what is Sequelize? Okay, so it is the ORM for JavaScript. We will use Sequelize to interact with the database and perform CRUD operation in our application, all right. So yes, so in our application also, as I already said before, also few seconds before, that we are going to use ORM to interact with the database, okay. So yes, we are going to use Sequelize ORM, okay. Sequelize in order to interact with the database in our application, okay. So in our application we are going to use ORM, which is known as Sequelize, okay. So Sequelize is nothing but a ORM for JavaScript, okay. So it's see, if you see here that each language has its own ORM, okay. So each language has its own technique to interact with the database, all right. So if you see, then for JavaScript, Sequelize is the ORM, okay. And here if you see, then Entity Framework is the ORM for .NET, and Hibernate for Java, and Django for Python, all right. So to do all the CRUD operations, to interact with the database, okay, in our application we will be using ORM, okay. We will be using Sequelize. Sequelize is nothing but an ORM. So we can say that Sequelize will stay between our application and the database. So with the help of Sequelize, we will perform all the CRUD operations, okay. Create, read, update, delete, okay. So in order to manipulate the data in the database, we will use Sequelize. So we will see this Sequelize and ORM, this MySQL and Xampp, all these things in real means practically in the next video, all right. So these all are the very important concepts that you must understand before doing database configuration and before moving ahead, okay, because later on it becomes difficult, okay. So to understand this, Okay, so it's very important to understand these concepts at first. And I will tell you one thing, that you download this Xampp, okay, yourself, because to download Xampp and install it is not a big deal, okay. So just as I said, as I showed you already, also search for download Xampp on our browser. Then you can download the Xampp as per your need. If you are Windows user, then download Xampp for Windows. If you are Linux users, then download Xampp for Linux. If you are a Mac OS, then download for the Mac OS. All right. So download the Xampp, and we will be using Xampp for our application, okay. And also we will use MySQL database, okay. MySQL database is provided by Xampp itself, okay. And Xampp is nothing but a box or container containing all these four things, okay. Yes, so yeah, in our application we will use MySQL database. We will use Sequelize ORM in order to interact with the database. So yeah, so I wanted you to know these concepts, okay. These concepts are very, very important. So okay, so as a conclusion, I would like to say this thing once again, that in our application we will use MySQL database. MySQL database is nothing but a relational database, okay. Relational means a database that stores data in tables, all right. And we will use Sequelize in order to communicate with the database, all right. So we will not use raw queries like select all from this table or that table, okay, insert into this table. So we will not use queries like that. We will use Sequelize to interact with the database. Okay, I hope you all are now clear about the topics here, okay. All right, so we will do the actual implementation in the next video. Okay, so thank you so much guys for watching this video. So we will continue from the next video, video 6. So that's all for today. And yes, thank you so much, and please like, share, and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much guys. Thank you.